Hey everyone, my name is Sergio and I'm a commercial photographer here in Victoria, BC. And today I want to tell you why partying is the reason that I'm a full-time photographer here today. Let's get into it. Happy Canada Day. If you're watching this on the 1st, then it's Canada Day for us here up in the Great White North. And it reminded me of this story that helped me launch my photography career back in 2012 when I was first buying my first camera. Now I know this sounds a little clickbaity, but it's true. I started as a partier who just happened to have a camera in his hands. Back in 2012, I bought my first T3i. It was a Canon camera and I was just exploring. I was shooting everything under the sun, everything I could get my hands on. First purchase was a 51.8 little nifty 50 plastic fantastic. And I instantly realized that I just wanted something wider. I wanted something that brought me not closer to the subject, but showed more of the scene, because for me at the time I was shooting a lot of car events and modified cars, my car, my friend's cars, things like that. I wanted to be able to get closer to these cars rather than shooting it at 50 mil a little bit further away. So I did some market research, I was looking around and I found myself in Tokina 1116 or 1117, something like that. It was on a crop body, so it was like a 16 to 24 or something like that. It was one of those kinds of lenses. Really wide, really all-encompassing. Doesn't really matter how sharp it is. I didn't really care. But I think what it allowed me to do is just think of my compositions and try to shoot everything all in one. I think that's kind of a common thing for a lot of beginners. We always want something a little bit wider and wider and wider. And the more we progress in our photography, the more we tend to like compression, or not. But I mean, just it's one thing I've noticed throughout many different photographers' careers. But anyway, with this wide lens, it opened up so many new possibilities for me. And I didn't actually buy it. I remember I was looking around online and I was trying to find what lenses would work for me. And I saw this Tokina and I rented it from a local shop back in Montreal, which means I needed to maximize the hell out of that $40 that I spent in that 1 week in order to make sure that I think it's worth it, because or else I'm just adding 50 bucks to the cost of the lens. So what I did is I rented this lens and I started shooting a few of the car events that were happening that night and the night after. And just so happens that was also Canada Day weekend. From there, I knew that I had some friends back in Ottawa where I was studying university that were having a midday kegger on the 1st. So what I did is I drove down to Ottawa with my brand new wide lens, and I was like, man, this is gonna be so cool. I get to shoot an event or a party, and I'm just trying to shoot as much as possible with this lens to try to see if I'm gonna wanna buy it. And in doing that, it brought me from a car event all the way down to Ottawa to shoot this party. And sure, I'm not getting paid for any of this. This is just stuff that I want to do because it's like access. It's an ability to get into these places just because I have a camera. And this party, who happened to be a skateboarding friend of mine, got crashed by a fraternity. And I don't know if it was like an official or unofficial crash, or if they did it because they were invited, but it just so I didn't know about it. The point being, 30, 40 dudes show up, all already half hammered, and they show up to this kegger in the middle of the day, start drinking a little bit more. I'm the guy with the camera, instantly become everyone's best friend. So everyone's like, oh my God, take picture, take picture, take picture. They're looking back at the screen, everyone's freaking out. They're all a little bit day drunk. Everyone's having a good time. This whole day, I just follow this fraternity. I try to make a bunch of friends as much as possible. The next day, I upload this stuff to Facebook, start tagging all these people, and they just instantly latched on. They're like, oh my God, these images are great. They're like, you gotta come back in September. You gotta start shooting our events. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. I started at an event, at a party that I didn't know who was gonna be there other than one or two skateboarding friends. All of these people show up and they're like, oh my goodness, you're the dude with the camera. You're the closest guy here with a camera. You must be good. I bought my first camera like 2 months prior to this. You know, I had no idea what I was doing. But this fraternity took me under their wing, and come September, I shot everything, and I mean everything. From mixers to you know, just going out and hanging out with some friends, I always had a camera with me. And it allowed me to learn my settings inside and out. It's like being at a wedding all day, every day, because I'm always trying to get the right shot, get the right composition, be in the right place at the right time. And it just kind of got me to think with a camera in my hands, and I was just I was practicing. I was practicing all day, every day. That's all I would want to do because it was so much fun. It was the ability to create and to grab these little moments in time and immortalize them, and then show them to my friends or these people that became my friends, and then they instantly had like a reason to like me. I was providing value and they were like, wow, that's so cool. We're able to do this. And I'm like, yeah, it is so cool. I didn't realize I was able to do this. And together we were able to create a really good bond and really good friendships. And from there, that's what gave me this in to all of these people that needed access to a photographer. It's one thing to shoot the rush events and to shoot the parties in the university with the people that are your age. But the thing is, with a fraternity, or at least our fraternity, there were people that were 5 or 10 years older than me that had already graduated, but they were like, oh, I have a baby coming up. I have a wedding coming up. I have a new car. And these people needed a photographer. So why would they go around and shop for a photographer that's probably gonna charge them a lot more than, oh, this new guy that just joined our fraternity, he'll probably do it for dirt cheap. He's good enough. Let's just hire him and it'll be good enough. And that's who I was. I was Mr. Good Enough. And that was awesome. It made me shoot everything because there's like 100, 200 people in the frat. 10% of them need one picture a year. They're gonna reach out to you. And that's what made me, which was what opened me up to so many different avenues, and it opened me up to so many different opportunities within photography, that it helped me choose what it is I like and don't like shooting. It made me realize that, okay, I can shoot more events, or I can shoot more portraits, or I can try to zero in on this kind of photography, or a little bit of this, or I was trying myself out in all these different avenues, which I didn't even realize I was doing that on purpose, but it's just what ended up happening by being around all of these people all the time. And this happened because I just happened to rent a lens. I happened to go out of my way to try to shoot as many things as possible in that week. And it just so happens that I made these connections that stayed with me for the last 10, 12 years of my life. I'm telling you this story, this happened in 2012. So this is stuff that's, I might be a little hazy with some of these details. But I really do believe that getting that wide lens and going from car events to people events and all of these other events with all of these other people helped me grow my network as a photographer, as a guy with a camera. I didn't necessarily like or dislike shooting events. I didn't really know about that at the time. Today, don't really like shooting events. I don't really like shooting with people in general. At the time, it was just a way to open up my network. It was a way to let other people know that I'm a guy with a camera. And sure, that's not your best bet at getting the best types of jobs all the time. You're gonna get a lot of people who want a lot of different things for like $40. But you're still gonna get a lot of different people that ask you because you're the guy with a camera. And if that's where you are in your if that's where you are in your career, then there's no shame in that. I think shooting events is one of the best ways to grow your photography career and grow your photography network, because it's putting you as center stage in a room with 300 people that want your attention. So like, someone is gonna need you at some point 6 months from now. Great way to do it. That's my Canada Day story. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe leave a like on your way out and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you guys in a couple days. Later.